Hello everyone. In the previous video we studied the asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction, the definition of each one of them, what each one of them it needs. For today we want to know what are the advantages of each type of reproduction. Let's start talking about the advantages of asexual reproduction. For asexual reproduction, the advantages of it allows an organism to reproduce very quickly. So this is the first one. They will reproduce very quickly, okay, and ensure that any favorable traits the parents parent has are passed on to offspring. Okay, so this one here, the other one. Actually, for asexual reproduction can occur without a partner, and all offspring can reproduce. So these are for the advantages of asexual. Let's talk about now the advantages of sexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction, it's not very quickly, it's not a quick process as the asexual reproduction, and it doesn't produce as many offspring as the asexual reproduction do, but still it has advantages. The sexual reproduction, it has advantages actually because there are two parents for the sexual reproduction. It increases genetic variation. Okay, so here, just hold on, this one here, it will increase the genetic variation. Okay, offspring have different traits, which improves the chance that at least some will survive also. Some organisms can use both types of reproduction actually here, so this one for the advantages of the sexual reproduction, but some organisms, they have the ability to use sexual and asexual reproduction. This will allow them to spread quickly and adapt to change in the environment as well. For some plants and some fungi, they have the ability to reproduce sometimes sexually and asexually. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this video. Listen to this one carefully.
Sexual and asexual types of reproduction have many important differences, and each has its advantages and disadvantages for an organism's survival. Click the picture to discover more. Two individuals, a male and a female, are needed for sexual reproduction. Genetic information comes from both parents and combines during fertilization. In asexual reproduction, there is only one parent. The offspring are an exact copy of the parent, and all traits are passed on to the offspring. The offspring produced by sexual reproduction have unique combinations of genetic material and are different from either parent. Because of the genetic diversity among offspring, the population can adapt to new environmental conditions. Species using asexual reproduction do not have this advantage. All of their offspring have identical characteristics. Sexual reproduction also has disadvantages. In general, sexual reproduction is a slower process than asexual reproduction and requires two individuals. The males and females also spend extra energy to seek each other out. When the offspring are born, they usually need more care than those produced through asexual reproduction. In comparison, asexual reproduction produces offspring rapidly and efficiently. Some species have the advantage of being able to reproduce both sexually and asexually. Sea stars can reproduce sexually by just releasing their gametes into the water to be fertilized. The resulting zygotes develop into new organisms on their own. But some sea stars can also reproduce in a different way. If an arm of one of these sea stars is cut off at a certain point, it can develop into a whole new individual.
So now you can compare between the sexual and asexual, and you can know what are the advantages and disadvantages of each one of them. Now we want to solve like different questions just to make sure that you understand the whole lesson. Let's start with this question.
Use what you just learned to match each phrase on the right with the type of reproduction it best represents. Drag each phrase on the right into the category that it best describes.
Okay, let's start with the first one. Here you are for the sexual and asexual reproduction. This one required only one individual reproducing. Which one? So this one is gonna be for asexual. The genetic material comes from both parents. For sure it's for sexual. Better able to adapt to environment due to genetic diversity. So this one for sexual. Genetic material is an exact copy of parents. This one asexual. Requires two organisms, male and female. This one for sexual.
Well done. Sexual reproduction requires two parent organisms. Each parent provides half of the offspring's genetic material. This increased genetic variation means that the resulting offspring are more likely to be able to adapt to changes in the environment. In comparison, asexual reproduction requires only one individual. The resulting offspring are genetically identical to its parent.
Okay, so this is the first question. Let's move to the next one.
Each type of reproduction has advantages and disadvantages. What is one of the greatest advantages of sexual reproduction? Click the correct answer.
Is the genetic diversity? Is that offspring don't need additional effort to or care? The ability to rapidly reproduce, or not having to rely on a mate? Actually,
that's right. The diversity that results from sexual reproduction gives offspring a greater chance for survival in a changing environment.
Okay. Let's solve the questions in the book together. These questions, use the Venn diagram below to compare asexual with sexual. We already wrote them. You can use your own words to write them. Just I'm going to mention them. Asexual reproduction, one parent offspring are identical to parent, involves cell division such as mitosis. For both of them produce offspring. Sexual reproduction, two parents involves fertilization. Meiosis produces six cells. So this one you can write them. We have mentioned them a lot. Let's continue here to identify 4 advantages of asexual reproduction. What are the advantages? Let's write them. We already wrote them, but I'm going to repeat them again. Or actually, I'm going to show you the answer for this one. I'll mention them, then I'm going to show you the answer. For asexual reproduction is quick, ensures offspring inherit favorable traits from the parents, doesn't require a partner, and all offspring can reproduce. Okay, I'm going to write the answers, but first let's discuss this questions 15. How can increased genetic variation help some offspring to survive? How do you think so? Actually here for offspring may have a trait that parents lack that may make offspring more likely to survive if the environment changes. For this one here, for this question 16, in the table below, place a check mark in the cell that describe a characteristic of asexual and sexual. Let's do them together. Which one is quick? Asexual. I'm going to use different color. Just hold on. Okay, so this one here increases a chance of survival in any changing environment. Actually, this one, it's gonna be this one here, it produces genetic variation, doesn't need partner, require complex structure. Maybe here I didn't mention it. They require, for example, for sexual reproduction they need like flowers, like other organs. For asexual they don't need this. Okay, so these are the answers, copy them. I'm going to show you the answers for other questions. So copy these answers, question 13, 14 and 15. Okay, if you have any question about today's lesson, you can send me your question. Thank you for listening.